Have you ever wondered what it actually takes to build an empire from absolute scratch? Well, today in this explainer, we're going to unravel one of the most incredible, suspenseful, and honestly emotionally gripping mysteries in modern business. It's a journey that challenges literally everything we think we know about starting a company, building a brand, and the sheer power of human resilience. To set the scene, we have to start with a desperately small number: 10 rupees. To put that into perspective, this was the exact daily wage earned by a coolie, a day laborer, working on a coffee plantation in Kerala's Wayanad district. Earning 10 rupees a day is barely enough to keep a family fed and surviving, let alone enough to dream about building a massive business empire.
But now, hold that tiny wage in your head and contrast it with this absolutely massive figure: 681 crore rupees. That is the staggering revenue generated in the fiscal year ending March 2025 by a company called ID Fresh Food.
So the ultimate question we are going to explore right now is how the son of that day laborer, a boy who actually failed the 6th grade and had to drop out of school, managed to bridge this seemingly impossible divide. Seriously, how do you go from 10 rupees a day to a nearly 700 crore business? It sounds like a complete mystery, but the answer is hidden in a series of unbelievable twists, near disasters, and a really deep understanding of human psychology. Part 1. The 10 rupee struggle. To truly understand the magnitude of this empire, we have to step back into the harsh reality of PC Mustafa's childhood. We really can't appreciate the summit without seeing the absolute bottom of the mountain he had to climb. Growing up in a remote village, education seemed like an impossible luxury. His father had studied only until class 4, and his mother had never attended school. So when Mustafa failed class 6, he was forced to drop out completely to help his father do manual labor, just so the family could scrape by. At that very moment, his fate appeared entirely sealed. Part 2. A life-changing second chance. Just when it seemed his entire life would be defined by grueling day labor, a massive twist changed the trajectory of his story. A middle school math teacher named Mr. Matthew intervened. He realized Mustafa hadn't dropped out from a lack of interest, but simply from crushing poverty. So, Mr. Matthew convinced Mustafa's parents to send him back to school, and he even paid for the boy's books out of his own pocket. That single act of faith sparked a fire. Mustafa didn't just pass, he excelled. He went on to earn an engineering degree at NIT Calicut, worked as a software engineer in Dubai, and ultimately earned an executive MBA from the incredibly prestigious IIM Bangalore. The boy who failed 6th grade was suddenly a total corporate success. Part 3. The 50-square-foot kitchen. Despite landing a very comfortable corporate job in Dubai, Mustafa felt a really strong pull to return to India in 2005. He wanted to be closer to his parents. But while he was back, a simple observation at his cousin's local Kirana store in Bengaluru sparked a massive idea. He noticed that dual-income urban families were desperate for traditional food, like idlis and dosas, but nobody had the time to soak and grind the ingredients themselves. Instead, they were stuck buying unhygienic batter sold in loose, transparent plastic pouches tied off with rubber bands. Mustafa envisioned a completely fresh, branded, and preservative-free alternative. He realized that if you give people the right product in the right packaging, well, half the marketing is already done for you. Now, their start was incredibly humble. In 2005, Mustafa and his cousins pooled together just 50,000 rupees. They rented a tiny 50-square-foot kitchen, bought a mixer grinder, and quite literally delivered their products on a scooty. But it wasn't a walk in the park. Because they absolutely refused to use chemicals or preservatives, it took them 6 grueling months of trial and error, grinding through 3 tons of rice just to perfect the natural fermentation recipe. Slowly but surely, they started selling a modest 100 packets a day. Part 4. Exploding batter and failures. Right when it looked like the business was on a path to steady growth, disasters suddenly struck in the scorching summer of 2006. Imagine the sheer, heart-dropping panic of getting a frantic call from a store manager claiming your fresh product is literally acting like a bomb on their shelves. Managers were reporting that the sealed idli batter was swelling up and exploding everywhere, creating a huge mess. Mustafa actually thought it was a practical joke at first. He told them to call the police if they had a bomb. But no, the crisis was very, very real. Here's what was happening. The high summer heat was causing the natural yeast in the batter to over-ferment. The pressure inside the sealed plastic was literally turning the packages into bursting balloons. Now, the standard industry fix would be to just add chemical stabilizers to stop the fermentation dead in its tracks.
But ID Fresh Food refused to break their zero preservative promise. Instead of giving up or selling out, they engineered a completely new, patented standing pouch that could breathe. This single innovation solved the problem while totally maintaining their core values. Of course, they didn't just have wins. They faced numerous, messy failures along the way, too. They tried ready-to-eat chutneys, grated coconut packaged in natural cork shells, and preservative-layered paradas, all of which eventually had to be pulled from the market. But as Mustafa himself pointed out, surviving in business requires constant innovation. Not every idea is going to be a winner, but every winner has to start as an idea.
Part 5. Trust shops and massive growth. Having survived exploding batter and later navigating the crushing B2B logistics failures during the 2020 pandemic by shifting directly to consumers, ID Fresh Food made a highly unconventional pivot. They did something that relied entirely on human emotion. They launched trust shops. And this is absolutely fascinating. They completely abandoned security cameras and salesmen. Instead, they set up unmanned kiosks in residential complexes with just their fresh food, a QR code, and a cash box. They lean heavily on the psychological principle of reciprocation, the idea that if you show pure trust in people, they will naturally want to honor that trust. And guess what? It was a massive success in building deep, unbreakable brand loyalty. By strictly controlling their own supply chain, leaning into technology, and heavily honoring consumer trust, they achieved something frankly miraculous. In a highly perishable, fresh food market where the standard industry norm for wastage sits anywhere between 10 to 20%, ID Fresh Food managed to drive their product wastage down to an incredible 2%. This intense, unwavering focus on fresh, quality output allowed them to capture a massive 70% market share in their key dosa batter category. And while batter and paradas make up over 76% of their revenue, they've successfully expanded into diverse revenue streams like dairy, whole wheat chapatis, and even filter coffee decoction, pushing the business to incredible heights.
Part 6. The real success message.
So, we've tracked the suspense, the near disasters, the exploding packaging, and the incredible triumphs. How did it all culminate? Well, in the fiscal year ending March 2025, the results were staggering. Not only did they hit that 681 crore revenue mark we talked about at the very beginning, but their profits surged an unbelievable 5 times over the previous year. They built a highly profitable, highly sustainable machine. Yet, if we look beyond those staggering financial metrics, the true reveal of this whole explainer is the emotional foundation this entire empire was built upon. The real numbers that matter aren't just the profits. It's the 40,000 plus stores they reach across India and internationally, and the thousands of jobs created for everyday people, all originating from one tiny 50-square-foot kitchen. You see, this entire company's DNA was shaped by its founder's past. Mustafa's relentless commitment to pure, honest food without chemicals or preservatives was a direct reflection of the pure, honest trust given to him as a child. He built those trust shops because he fundamentally believed in the goodness of people, simply because someone once believed in him. This story proves that a life-changing journey doesn't require extreme wealth or privilege to start. It shows us that passing on a single act of faith, like a teacher paying for a poor dropout's math books, can ripple outward in ways we can't even imagine. That 10 rupee a day coolie son took his second chance and changed the lives of millions of people, completely redefining how an entire country eats breakfast. The mystery of the RS10 empire isn't just a cool business case study. It's absolute proof that resilience and trust are the ultimate growth hacks. So what seemingly impossible gap are you going to bridge today? If this emotional journey from a 10 rupee wage to a fresh food revolution hooked you, be sure to follow for more facts and incredible stories.